Hey y'all, welcome to Facing the 50s. My name's Deanne. Today I want to talk all about brushes. We're going to talk all about Seint's brushes. So I want to answer some questions for you. Probably the number one question I get is how do you store them, because they're all double-ended brushes. But I want to answer what are they used for, and then I want to give you some tips and tricks that you may not have thought of. So if that's something that's interesting to you, stick around. All right. Let's start with storage, because I know that was the biggest thing for me when I first got them, because I thought, oh, I don't want double-ended brushes because I want to be able to put them in a cup and set them on my vanity. And with double-ended brushes, I don't want to set them down on their bristles, right? Because that could damage them after a while. So I've got a few ideas for you as far as how to store them. The first one is super cheap, is this right here. Let me take these out. It's this lucite container I got for $1 at the Dollar Tree. And it holds the brushes in there just perfectly, and you can see it would hold quite a few in there. So there you go. There's you an option for $1. I have another option for you. If you've ordered our microfiber cloths, and if they came in this box here, you'll notice that it has this little drawer that pulls out. It's just a cardboard box, but it's a nice one. But it's got this drawer that pulls out, and it's a perfect storage unit for your brushes. So if you haven't ordered those, if you're on the fence about it, order them. You get a box there and some great washcloths. I'll talk about those in another video because I do love those microfiber cloths. All right, and then the third one that I have here on hand, I've got our travel case. So Seint, you can see it's got the Seint logo there. We've got a travel case. I just threw a couple of brushes in there so you can see, but it is it's pretty sizable. It would hold a ton of brushes, or it would hold your brushes and your compact and everything. So there's three options that I have for you. And there's actually a fourth. I don't happen to have it here. I need to order it, but we have a brush holder. And what it is, it's a holder that's got a couple of flaps that come over and will cover the bristles, and then it's got a wrap that goes around it to keep it all secure so that you can throw it in your purse or throw it in your bag if you're traveling. But you could certainly use it on the daily to store your brushes as well. I'll try to insert a picture here if I can remember, but if not, I'll list it below so that you know what I'm talking about. All right, so there's our brushes, or some ideas for storage, I mean. Now let me get into our brushes. And before I do, let me just give you a quick heads up, because in some of my older videos, well, all of my older videos, you will see this style brush with the gold in the middle and the rose on the outside, and the bristles are kind of a beige with a gray. So they recently got a facelift, and it's just a nice rose color here, but you can see they're the same brush, like the shape of them are the same, the function of them are the same. It's just a little facelift, so I didn't want to confuse you by showing you something that you may not have seen before. All right, let's hop into it. So I'm going to tell you what each brush is is typically used for, and I'm going to share any tips or tricks of different ways that you can do it to maximize your investment if you're going to pick any up. So I've got this one in my hand. Let's start with the blush and bronzer brush. This is probably the number one most prescribed brush. When I do your color match, it's the one I recommend the most because it's just such a workhorse in our collection. All right, so it is made to be a blush and bronzer brush. All right, so it's typically lip and cheek, or the blush you would apply with this end, and then this end is great for a bronzer because it's looser and you want something not quite as dense to be able to put on your bronzer so you don't get too much. So blush, bronzer, great. But the other things you can do with this, when I do your color match, I'm likely to tell you if you need a color corrector, and I'll explain that. But if you need a color to kind of correct some redness or hyperpigmentation or something that's going on, I'll tell you to buff on a very light layer using this end of the blush and bronzer brush. And so what I mean by that, here it is. Let me grab my compact here. So what I mean by that is mango is one of the ones that is typically recommended. So I would dip it into the mango and then buff it on to whatever areas that I tell you. So that's what you can use that brush for. And then I will tell you, based on what kind of coverage that you want to get, it'll either be this brush or another one. I'll tell you to dip that into your main highlight and press that in on top of that mango You don't want to buff it again because you'll move the mango, but you press it on top or stipple it, and that'll get you your coverage that you're looking for. So there's those things that you can do with the end of it, and I recommend that all the time because this is great for kind of a natural to a medium coverage. What else can you do with this? In a pinch, you could apply, let me grab this again, you could apply your contour. So you could actually take it and literally pinch it, tap it into your contour, and put it there underneath your cheekbones, on your forehead, and on your jawline. So some great ways to, get your money's worth out of this blush and bronzer brush. Again, it is my #1 most recommended brush. Just love it. Okay, second brush here is the detail brush. So I've got a flat end right here that's got a wonderful edge that we'll talk about here in a second. And I've got this smaller end here. So let's start here. So this flat side, kind of an oval style. You will see me in tons of videos where I'll hold it at an angle. I'm trying to get that to where you can see it. Hold it at an angle and pounce it in, and then this is wonderful for a really, chiseled kind of contour look. I will also take a lot of times and, just put it flat in there and do my contour here on my forehead and on my jaw. So it's great for that. What else? Oh, another thing you can do with it is go in with, if you want a fuller coverage, go in with your main highlight, and you can use this to press it all along anywhere that you would put it. So some great uses for that one. Oh, one more. We have illuminators. I don't have one in this compact here, but we've got some cream illuminators that are just kind of a nice subtle glow. You can use the edge of that in the cream illuminator on your cheeks there too. So yet another use that just came to my mind. All right, next we have the 3D brush. So again, double-ended, just like everything. I've got a pointy end on one side and then more of an oval end on the other, and they're both about medium density. So here's how you can use this. With this end of it, you can go in and do your contour if you need to. And if it happens to be a little big, you can pinch it like you did the other one. You can use this end of it to go in with your lip and cheek. Let me turn that so the mirror isn't blinding you. Go in with your blush and put your blush on with it. You can use this end of it to go in with your main highlight color and stipple that on wherever you need to. So lots of uses for that end. Flip it over the other end. The other end is great for contour. Put your contour on there, get right here underneath the cheekbones. You can see where that just fits right in there. Perfect for that. You can go to your main highlight and put your main highlight on, or your brightener here underneath your eyes, right here in the center of your face. I could do my whole face with this brush, but I could also do my whole face with this brush. I could also do my whole face with this brush. Could do my whole face probably with this brush. See where I'm going there? They all have their typical uses, but once you play with them a little bit and you figure out how you like to apply it, there are no rules. You can do it however you want, and if you're willing to work a little bit, you can figure out how to make them even the most multi-purpose brushes that you've ever had. All right, so that is the 3D brush. Now we're going to go in with the buff brush. So this brush here is for those who want full coverage, and it's super densely packed on both ends. You can see the ends they're fairly well shaped the same. This one's just a little bit smaller than the other, but this one's great, like I said, for full coverage. So I will tell you, especially if you're going to use a color corrector under it, so you've already done that, and then I'll tell you just to dip this one into your main highlight color, and then you'll press it on and it'll give you that fuller coverage. The other thing that you can do, this other end of this brush is absolutely perfect for right here under the eye. Like, it fits so nicely, and the fact that it's got that angle to it, I'll probably get that a little closer. The fact that it's got that angle to it just makes it lay down the brightener underneath your eye just perfectly. Other thing that you can do with it is highlight right down the nose and of course on the chin. If you could also put your contour on with it. So lots and lots of things you can do with that. All right, now moving on to our buff brush. So kind of a medium end here it's kind of loose, and then a smaller kind of packed in there. This end is wonderful for getting, like I have some darkness and everything right here in the corner that I like to get into and get my eye brightener, so that's great for that. This end is also great if I talked about color correcting, and if you've got melasma or some spots that you're trying to cover and it's not all over your face but it's just in certain areas, then I'll tell you to buff it in, so you can certainly use this one to buff in that color corrector in a smaller area. This end here, since it's long and loose, you know, not super loose but loose enough, it's going to give probably the lightest coverage of any of our brushes. You can use it if you have a lip and cheek that is, you know, pretty pigmented. This one's pretty average here. This one that's Tropicana right there. But if you've got saffron or ruby or one of those that are, you know, really pack a punch, you don't want to put too much on, using this to be able to, you know, blend it on. And you can see how it just, it sort of bends there as it's blending on my face. It's picking up my hair, but it'll help blend and give you just that nice wash, that nice little, you know, hint of color that you want. The other thing, and I did this some during the summer and I thought it was pretty cool, I used this end here with my main highlight. So I would just dip it in and then I would just do little buffs all over, you know, anywhere I was going to do my main highlight, and I got a super, super, super natural light look with that. So it's one of those that can do a lot. It's kind of an unsung hero, I think, in the brush line, but it's got lots of uses and I like it. All right, we got a theme going here. I like them all. But anyway, all right, what is next? Next. All right, this brush is next. I owe this brush an apology because I didn't really care for it when I started using it back a year and a half ago when I got into this line. It's called the powder brush, and I thought, yeah, big deal. You know, it sets powder, but I've got other brushes that can do that just as well. And you know what, you may, and if they work, that is great. We just know these are made specifically to work with our creams and powders, so we know that they'll work. But anyway, so we've got kind of an angled end on one side, kind of a pointed angle, and then this one's more like an angled kabuki. So what you do with this, and let me grab mine here. So I have got my Vanilla Dust setting powder, a really finely milled powder that I will use to set underneath my eyes, and I'll use it in my T-zone. So I'll take and just dip it. I don't swipe or anything, just one, you know, a little press or a dip. And then it is the perfect size and shape to get right there under my eyes and set just the smallest amount of powder so that I don't have any creasing throughout the day. And then I, of course, do the same thing on the other eye. The other end of it here, same thing. I will dip it into the Vanilla Dust, and where this is helpful is pressing that powder right into this T-zone. That angle really helps it just hug the contours of your face, and I'll use it to press powder right through here too. So again, this one I did not give enough love to when I first started using it, and like I said, I owe it an apology. You could use this one for creams too. You would just need to be a little careful or kind of practice with it because of the shape there, but you could use this one in the contour. Get you some contour going here, blend it out. This side here would be perfect to use in, you know, the main highlight colors if you wanted to. So you can certainly get some more use out of that one too, if you wish. Oh, got a hair in my face. Sorry about that. All right, 4 to go. Next is the Multitasker Brush, and what a name for this brush. So you can see you've got a teeny tiny end down here and kind of just a normal flat shader side right here. So I'll start with this. So flat shader eyeshadow, it's perfect. Use it for that all the time. You can also use this if you want to dip into that contour color, and I mean dip with your tip here and put just a little bit of contour underneath your lip to kind of help them look a little bigger if that's what you want. That's great for that. But the other thing that this one is genius for, so the flat end of it, if you put it in, I swear I'm going to blind y'all with that. If you put the flat end of it here in your lip and cheek color, and then you can use that as a lip brush to apply your lipstick. So those are great uses for that. Now this small end, a few things that you can do with it are you can, go into a light eyeshadow color if you want to put it right up here underneath the eyebrows to lift them up a little bit. So you'll use it right there under the arch. You can use this in the small areas of your eye for detail work. You can use this to line your eyes, either cream or with an eyeshadow, either one. You can use this if you want to put a little contour right down your nose and do a little nose contour. This is perfect for that. This is also great for if you want to line your lips. So a lot of people will use our contours to line your lips. Sometimes I'll just use one of the deeper colors and line my lips. So some great uses there. Probably things I'm not even thinking. Oh, I know one more thing. If I have just a small spot on my face that I want to cover, and this side here is obviously too big to cover it, I can go in, dip this little end into that mango, do my little color correcting. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice here. Do my little color correcting and then cover it with my main highlight, and I'm good to go. So I love this Multitasker brush, and like I said, it is aptly named. All right, we have the Smudge Brush next. So one end of it, sort of just a round brush smudger, and then one end of it, you can see this one just looks a little bit pinched compared to the other one. So a few things that you can do with this. Eyeshadow, is the first thing that I think of because it's a good size to be able to either put on that all over color, to work in your crease, to, it's not super detailed, but you could do your outer V with it. You could come underneath your eyes and use it for there. Another thing you could use it for is a natural lip if you want to use it in your lip and cheek. You could also use this to buff on any small spots that you have, to buff on your color corrector. Really the same thing with the other end. The only difference is the shape. But one thing that I tend to use this squished in for quite a bit is right here, kind of in this little general triangle that I'm showing you. I have redness for some reason, and I guess it's part of my rosacea, but I have just some redness that's right above each brow, and it's close to the brow. So I'll dip this into my color correcting color and just buff it in on top of that redness. And it's small enough that it just really stays right there where I need it instead of filling in too much. So that's another good use for that. All right, next to last, we have our eyeshadow brush. Typical brush here. You've seen this one is kind of a typical crease brush that you would have seen. And this end here is a typical pencil brush. So use this crease end to put your crease color in, but I find that I also, let me see, do I have any eyeshadows? Yeah. So I find that I will also go in and just maybe tap it on the corner, and I could do my all over eye color with it as well, so I don't have to go straight in with this flat end of it, or it's kind of flat, but you know what I mean. You don't have to do everything with the end. Some of it you can do with the flat side there. So anyway, hope that made sense. So lots of things you can do with your eye on that. And same thing with the pencil brush. This is where I will typically go in and darken my outer V. I will go in if I'm going to use anything under my lash line and do that. With this being a small brush, you don't have to just make it stay for your eyes. You can use it, like I've said a few times now, on some small areas on the face. You could use it right here under the brow. You could use it, oh, this one's great for this too, I almost forgot. If you want to use your brightening highlight right down your nose because of how small that is, so that's a great thing to use. And you can use this for contour on the sides of the nose. So really kind of where you might need some detail, but whereas the detail brush isn't fluffy at all, you can see where the end of it's flat, the end of this one is kind of fluffy. So you could use that. All right, last but not least is this one here. Pretty typical eyebrow brush. We call it the line brush. because you can do your brows or your liner with it. So it's got your normal spoolie on the end that we're used to using with our eyebrows. And then the small end here, and y'all, I am terrible at holding these things up, so I apologize for that. But you'll see pictures on the website, so you'll be able to see them all better. But anyway, this small end here, you can dip it in if you use a brow pomade or if you use an eyeshadow or whatever for your eyebrow color. Put it on with that. You could also dip this in if you use a cream eyeliner or if you use an eyeshadow for your eyeliner. You can use that. All right, so was that it? I think that's it. So again, I just wanted to address what the brushes were used for. I wanted to give you maybe a couple of tips that you hadn't thought of and interesting ways to use it. If you've got any tips that you know that I didn't mention, please drop them below, because we love to always learn different ways that we can use these because we want to get the most out of our money if we're going to buy our brushes. If you have any questions, drop them below. I'm more than happy to help you with that. And I think that's it. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.